Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coder Life. I felt the need to come on to give you a tidbit today. I get a lot of questions about having difficulty locating their diagnoses in the code book. Guys, that was one of the hardest things for me too, because ways that I wanted to look up terms in the code book just didn't have it. So what I've learned is the code book has a language of its own. It's kind of like learning Spanish or French. But once you grasp how to look up these terms or grasp what I call the code book language, you got it. So the biggest key I always tell my students is love your code books. Guys, you have got to do just that. Love your code books. Spend time with it. Look through it. I think this week alone I've answered at least five questions about the external cause index and where to find it. And that's the index that you talk about, like motor vehicle accidents or how an injury occurred in that external cause index and where it's located. And be honest with you, it just comes from not being familiar with your book. So if you guys would spend more time with your code books, look through it, find your table of contents, find your different indexes, your alphabetic index, your external cause index, your neoplasm table, your table of drugs and chemicals, and then the actual tabular itself. So just spend time in your code books and get to learn your code books and what's in it. You'll be amazed, especially when you go through that external cause index. When I see some of the stuff that I could code from that index alone describing how patients got hurt, blew me out the water. Not just falling from stairs or assaulted by a police officer or, stuff like that, crazy stuff like that. It's in that index. And then when you go to your table of drugs and chemicals to see the different medications, and then your neoplasm table, where cancers are, you guys will be amazed when you go through it. So just take time and learn your code books. And one other thing, when you're looking up your diagnoses, if in the beginning you have to look up every single word in your diagnoses until you learn how to look up those diagnoses, then do that. Do that and you'll learn that index like the back of your hands. Practice, practice, practice. But another key is don't go to the body part. Again, as coders, we code what's wrong with the patient, not the body part. So if you know something that's wrong with your patient and they got this long diagnosis and they identify where, the location, take that out. But every one of those other words in the diagnoses, if it takes in the beginning you looking up every single one of those words, then you do just that until you learn that language. But once you grasp how that book breaks down diagnoses, you got it. You got it. And it'll come with practice, but you just got to keep practicing. Stay in your code books. I was asked about tabbing books. I don't tab my books. I used to, but be honest with you, I can remember being in a certification exam and the tabs were in my way, and I actually just tore the tabs out of my book while taking my exam because they frustrated me because they were in my way. So I don't push it. I do put little stickies in my book when I come across diagnoses that I use over and over, like pain in something. If that's an admission diagnosis, abdominal pain, because I use pain a lot, I might have a little tab in my book at the word main term pain. But as far as actually dividing my book up, I don't put tabs in my book. So a lot of you guys ask me, when am I going to do a video on tabbing books? I'm probably not going to. I just don't recommend it. But anyway, just wanted to give you that tidbit about the code books, guys. Once you learn that language, you got it. Okay? See you in the next one.